Hello, my name is Janet Mitton, and I'm the VP of Clinical Services at VIVA Therapeutic Services. I'm a trained speech-language pathologist and board-certified behavior analyst. VIVA Therapeutic Services is a private company. We're under contract with the New Brunswick Department of Education and Early Childhood. We offer services to preschool autistic children, and we offer services to the entire province in both French and English. About 3 years ago, we reached out to FTF Consulting to help us learn best practices to help children with problem behavior. We wanted an approach that was safe and compassionate. We've had several trainings from them, and the most recent training involved myself and 2 of my colleagues, and we completed the Train the Trainer model with Dr. Camilleri, and we supported teams with PFA and SBT from case conceptualization all the way to the treatment extensions. And I'm going to present a client that I followed in one of my cohorts. I'm going to use her initials. Her name, her mom gave me permission to use her as my presentation for you today, and I thank her very much for that. We'll call her AS. She's 5 years old and she has autism. And we categorize her as being verbal at about a moderate and expressive language level. Her treatment is in school, and she had 2 lead implementers, Danielle Pelletier and Kelly Cameron. And of course, Dr. Anthony Camilleri was my mentor through FTF. I want to tell you a little bit about her personality. She's actually hilarious. She made us laugh every day. Tony described her best in that he said she's spunky and sassy. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure in this process is that we didn't change those aspects of her personality. We wanted to embrace them and celebrate them. So as I said earlier, she had her treatment in school. Particularly, it was a primary school from K to 2 in Prince Edward Island. We had the opportunity to visit Prince Edward Island in the fall to learn a little bit about their preschool program. And during that program, we were observing their intervention, and they were working on a modified version of SBT called the Enhanced Choice Model with a couple clients, and really seeing some wonderful success. But they had lots of questions about PFA SBT and were very interested to learn more. So when we had the opportunity to start our Train the Trainer model, we invited them to be part of our cohort. Her hours of practice varied. On average, it was around 4+ hours. She usually had either an hour in the morning or an hour in the afternoon. And so we really just met the bare requirement of best practices, at least minimal practices. So AS's problem behavior was mainly aggression. There was a lot of hitting, punching, kicking, biting, throwing items at people. Another key concern was elopement. This happened both indoors and outdoors. And we didn't see a lot of self-injurious behavior, but when we did see it, it was pulling her hair, really when she was quite frustrated. And then the team also reported, and parents often reported, some risky behavior such as climbing on dangerous structures and looking at adult for reactions. Now, her less severe mild problem behavior, which were often the precursors to her severe problem behavior, first one was whining and no. We would see increase in volume. We would also see her face scrunch up, and sometimes her body movements would be quite obvious, like flailing of her arms. But probably one of the most telltale signs was her turning her whole body away from the individual. And you're going to see this in a video that I present of her ISCA. The other thing I want to mention here is through this process, we noted that she had another behavior, and we put it in the category of R3 because we didn't feel it was in the same response class as her R1 and R2 behaviors, and it was complaining. it often was like, I just did that, those type of behaviors. And with Tony Camilleri's support, we identified this as an R3 and label it as complaining. And you'll see that on our graph. So her treatment context, the SR condition was really fun to create for her. She loved anything dinosaurs, loved arts supplies, anything with the arts, construction paper, arts and crafts, sensory play, visual stimulation. But one of her favorites was pretend play. She loved to be the director in a role play scenario where she would say, you're going to be the kitty, you're going to be the mom, you're going to be the grandmother, you're going to be sick, you're going to be eating this. And so that was a huge part of her context. And of course, adult man compliance. She loved to tell everyone what to do, and we were able to make that happen in her SR condition. And she loved adult attention. This was so key. And so we had more than one person in a room. We had to make sure that she was available for they were available for her full attention. And then her EO was being told that she needed to stop, particularly if it was a preferred activity, and instructed to do work. So this is her ISCA graph. You can see that we were able to turn behavior on and off, but it was very interesting. Before we did this, the team came into the room and they said, this is not going to go well. She is having a day. She is already engaged in several problem behaviors, and we think we should reschedule. So I said, okay, well, let's just see how she does. So we brought her into the room, and she absolutely loved it. It was Disney World to her. And so normally we would wait about 5 minutes before we would present the EO, but just as a bit of caution, we gave her a little bit more time to make sure that she was very comfortable in this space. Then we presented the EO, and you can see 4 times with a nice on and off. But by the 5th time, we presented the EO, and she just kept cooperating. So we pushed her all the way out to a 5 cab long, and then reinforced, and then represented again very short, within a minute, and we were able to see an R2, and we were able to reinforce. So as a result, we were able to then move on to really develop some meaningful goals for her in our SBT process. So first and foremost, our main goal for her was to get her back into the classroom so that she could cooperate with activities with her peers. And so the first one was an academic task. We pulled a lot of activities right from her teacher that she would be expected to do. And we wanted her to do this independently and with diverted adult attention, and handle any of those unplanned interruptions that a classroom would have. Another key meaningful goal for her was transitioning throughout her school. Because elopement was a key problem, we needed her to learn to transition from one activity or location to another safely. And she needed to do this sometimes independently and other times with her whole class for different durations, and again, without adult attention always being present. And we also wanted to make sure that she could understand some of those interruptions. I changed on my mind, I forgot to get something, those types of things. And those are things that Tony helped us put into our goal. And of course, without any problem behavior. And finally, her fun branch was play, and more of a shared play. She loved to play. But when she would play with her partners in her classroom, her peers, she loved to be the director. And if the peer did not follow her play ideas or did not wait, and another big EO for her was if they changed the rules in a game or a play situation. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to address that in her programming. So I have a few graphs to show you here, just to kind of highlight a few things. This is her academic task. What I would like to point out here is that she actually learned the beginning skills of communication, toleration, relinquishing and transitioning quite quickly here with literally no problem behavior. She did that extremely well. We used a lot of priming where we just kind of told her of the expectation, worked really well, and some imitation as our teaching strategies. And so you can see with Tony's support, we started to record some R3s because we weren't sure what to do with that. And you can see by the arrow here, that is when we started to introduce that. The other thing we did is, because she was moving quite quickly, we did an endurance probe to see if we could actually speed up the process a little bit, and she handled it like a pro. Once we started introducing longer strings of work, though, in her CAV5 long, we did start to get a little bit more problem behavior, mainly R2s. And of course, as we got all the way up into some CAV6s, the same thing, but did really well overall. One of the things that I did want to mention back here, though, is one of our major concerns with AS is she was doing very well in practice, but not doing well out of practice. We were actually seeing significant amount of problem behavior happening outside of her practice. One of the issues was she had 2 educational assistants, and we used one of her assistants as part of her support implementer. And what we were noticing is when the support implementer was with her, who was in SBD, problem behavior was not that bad out of practice, but it was off the charts with her second worker. So we decided to introduce a second implementer right around 155 in trials. And that made a significant difference for her, having get to know about this process and also get to know how best to help AS stay happy, relaxed, and engaged. In our transition branch, what I'd like to point out here is we had good intentions of starting this with unplanned signals, so that she would know where she was going, but she had a very significant problem behavior, R1 here, that was very dangerous. So we decided at that point to actually do planned transitions as our first step, and towards the end, in our CAV6 challenges, we faded that out. And then finally, in her play branch, which was her fun branch, we rarely saw problem behavior. She loved this branch, and actually, you'll see in a video at the end, she actually preferred to play the other person's way by the end of our treatment. So, as I was saying, out of practice was really a major problem for AS. We implemented a universal protocol for all of her staff in the classroom, and this was key to help her stay safe. This was a really big switch for the school, and the team worked very hard to teach some of those key components to really let AS know that they were there for him. It really helped by letting them follow her lead a lot more. Other key things were giving her choices, whether she could participate in the activity or whether she could opt out. We also really worked on reducing demands. I think when we first went in, we saw that a lot of the instruction was insisting that she participate or follow through, and really eliminating some of those essential demands and letting her know that we are there for her and there to support her made a big difference. And of course, when she did engage in a problem behavior, we did reinforce it to keep everyone safe. Another key component to her success is some visual supports. Why we were empowering her and teaching her skills through the SBT process, she still struggled when someone would not give her attention outside of practice. So what we ended up doing is having all her teachers wear a lanyard, and we used a system where red meant they were available, green meant they were not available, green meant they were available, and purple meant it was practice time. This worked extremely well for her. And some days when one of her teachers would forget to wear the lanyard, she would come up and say, I'm supposed to be wearing red, I'm not available. And that was all it took. It worked really well for her. And our goal in the generalization extension is to fade this out. One cute story is one day when we just introduced the purple practice, the P for practice, her educational support implementer was putting on the lanyard, and one of our other teachers came up to her, and she said, AS, I need you to do something. And she put up her hand and said, I'm sorry, Miss So-and-so is wearing purple. It's time for me to learn. and off she went to the classroom. So it was very meaningful to her. So we had several wins, weekly wins along the process, and I'm just picking out some of the highlights here to share with you. One of my favorites is she was known to say during practice that this is the best day ever. I am so happy. This is a little girl who hated going to school previously and was not happy, and some days would get sent home early. So this was a huge win for us. She was starting to handle denials and disappointments outside of practice before we even started extensions. She was choosing to participate in classes now with no problem behavior. Gym was the first one that she participated in. Her gym teacher really got the universal protocol in this whole process. And so I think he was key to that piece. She was able to work with 4 different implementers, her 2 educational assistants, and then the 2 lead implementers. And Mom also reported better cooperation in home through this process without us even starting extensions. And as I mentioned previously, she's now starting to prefer to play the implementer's way and her peer way in SR condition and in out of practice. And she's choosing more and more to participate in some classroom activities. So I have a video here that I'd like to share with you that kind of outlines our process through PFA SBT. It'll start with a short clip of the ISCA. You can pay attention to her turning her body away as her R2 that we reinforce. Just a quick video to show how quickly she learned her communication response, her simple FCR, complex FCR, tolerance, relinquishing, and transitioning. We then move into show you some of the examples of the branches. You'll see a nice example of her play branch where she's choosing to stay, wanting to play the implementer way. You'll see one where she is working on a CAB 5 long and an academic task. We cut the volume out and just sped it up to show, but you'll see how she sits calmly. She's participating without any complaining. We have a transition branch to show you. You'll see there's some complaining, but how she is a trooper and their implementer encourages her to continue. And then we also have a nice video to show one of her favorite man compliance activities was when she could hypnotize her implementer and get her to do different things. So I'm just going to play that for you.
All right, Auburn, we're all done with that. I need you to stand up and come to the table. I need you to take out your marker out of the red pouch, please. I don't have my marker. Check in the red pouch. Right in here. Can you take your marker out for me, please? Oh, you want your way? Okay, you can have your way. Again?
She likes this game.
All right, Auburn, we're all done with that. You can put the pen. Okay, absolutely, you can have your way.
You're a natural, Mallory.
Okay, Auburn, we're all done of this. Not right now.
Okay. Only gentle with, and put your mouth in and see how it feels.
Put my hand in here.
See how it feels.
It pinches a little bit, but I'm sure he's very gentle with the babies.
Yeah, his own business with his babies, but don't hurt them. He just pick them up like this and move them. And put them up.
Okay, Auburn, we're all done with this. Not right now.
Okay.
Great job saying okay. Can you put the dinosaur back in this right here? Thank you. And can you scoot your chair over here? Right in front of the foundations couch. Thanks. Actually, can we turn this light off too, please? Yeah, turn it right off. Great job. And you know what? You did such a great job. I think we can keep playing. can turn these lights back on.
I
Put
see
mine
it.
back on too.
Me too.
We're gonna play my way. You know what I want to do? I want to make a caterpillar like that guy.
What the?
Can you make him a head for me?
I don't know.
Maybe out of this color. Use that color to make his head. And I'm gonna make one of his body sections.
Okay.
Can you give him some eyeballs?
Yeah.
You know what? You handled that so well. We can go back to your way. Yeah?
I still want
My
it to
way.
be your way.
You still want it to be my way. I love that. Maybe we can make some more. We can make a caterpillar still, and it can be your way. We can make it how you'd like.
No, your way.
Okay.
It's your way.
Oh well, thank you.
Your way then. It's your way.
1, 2, 3, 4. He needs 4 little humps.
What's it? Put your hand in there. Because jump is wild.
All right, Arvin, we're all done in this.
Am I walking?
Not right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Great job saying okay. Come on over to the door.
Go.
All right, right beside me. Right here beside me. So we're gonna go to the gym today. All
Aww.
right. So walk beside me. We're gonna go to the gym. Let's go.
Aww. Look up there. You want to go a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen you do all sorts of hard things. We can walk right to the gym. So you know what? We can stay in gym, or we can go back and play. Great job.
It's gonna go.
Can you please get out a marker?
Two. And there's one more purple burger left. Remember, we're going to start with the purples. Awesome. How many?
4,
Whoa,
One.
4.
2, 3, 4.
Okay, and now I'm just going to pick whatever color this time, and we get a free pick. 2. All right. 1, 2. What color do you want? Okay. Can I say goo goo gaga? Say goo goo gaga.
Yes, master. Go, go, gaga.
Act like a robot dinosaur.
Yes, master. Roar, 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 roar. I was really hesitant to believe that the results could be achieved. We had tried all the strategies and we felt that we had exhausted all avenues to help her, with little to no lasting improvement. So it was really hard to imagine that our student would be able to learn the skills that SBT promised to help teach her. It was rocky at first. It seemed to get worse before it got better outside of sessions. However, I was surprised at how quickly and how eagerly our student picked up each step in the process, and how gently and successfully SBT gave her the skills in our sessions to communicate and tolerate during previously explosive situations. So we definitely have developed a better rapport. There's more trust and more communication between us. SBT has given me the ability to interact with her in a different way. I got to see her from a different perspective. So during SBT and the reinforcement context, I'm able to spend time with her laughing, smiling, playing, and learning skills in a new way. And this drastically improved how we interacted with each other during non-preferred activities. Okay, so we've definitely seen a decrease in serious challenging behavior. Our student spends less time in escalation, and it's easier for us to diffuse problem behavior safely. As a result, she spends more time happy, relaxed, and engaged, and more importantly, we know what that looks like for her, and we know how to get her there.
One of the highlights for me during this learning process was always being able to fall back on those core values of PFA and SBT. There were definitely times when I wasn't sure of the next step in the procedure or how to make an adjustment to our processes, but I always knew with complete confidence that each decision we made had to prioritize safety, televisability, and rapport. I knew that what I was recommending was built on a foundation of kindness and compassion, and that we could make all decisions with empathy for the child. The ability to lean on these values really filled me with confidence that we were doing the right thing for this client, even when I had to stop and think about the next procedure or technical step.
So that's the videos. I really love the testimonials. I really want to just give a shout out to the PEI team, the implementers and the lead implementers. They were a wonderful team to work with and were a huge contribution to this client's success in using this PFA SBT approach. I also want to give a huge thank you to Tony Camilleri, Isabel Cowan, and Sarah Musa, who were my other colleagues who were part of our Train the Trainer cohort. They're all brilliant. I learned from them daily, and they were truly a pleasure to work with. I also love to say thank you to Danielle Pelletier, who's the CEO of VIVA Therapeutic Services. Danielle is so committed to quality and improving our services, and she truly is an inspiration and makes working for VIVA a pleasure. And I also love to thank Dr. Greg Hanley for all of the work that he has done. We had the opportunity to see him in a 2-day presentation here in New Brunswick, and it was truly an inspiration. His commitment, excellence, and ability to disseminate this information in such a wonderful way has been just a pleasure for us.